I want to go to the AFC, and you mentioned the Ravens. Slowing down the Chiefs' offense. So you can slow down the Chiefs' offense, and they still score. They scored 24 in regulation, 27 total. How scary are the Kansas City Chiefs? Patrick Mahomes has had games this year where he's had the ups and downs, the Brett Favre comparisons, the terrible throws. Yesterday, bad interception, bad fumble, but also makes the special plays and had the quote-unquote MVP moments everybody's looking for. How scary are the Chiefs that you could slow them down and they still score 24 or 27, however you look at it?
I would say the Chiefs are scary because you can't fall behind like at all. I think once you cede ground to them, you're toast. Once you're behind 14 points or whatever, that's when they just put the foot on your throat and you're done, because that's when Dee Ford, can take off. That's when Justin Houston can just worry about rushing the passer, and those guys, can do that when that's all they have to worry about. And that's, the defense has its weaknesses, but in pass defense, if they can just play pass defense, they're a lot better than if they have to worry about the run as well, because we've seen their issues in run defense over the years. So I do think they're scary in that regard, but at the same time, I don't think they're unbeatable. Obviously, the 2 losses, I think there's a lot of teams in the AFC that I could see one game getting the best of them.
So you sound like you're describing Peyton Manning's Colts.
Yes,
right
it's very similar, actually, yeah.
That, explosive passing attack, their whole plan was to get ahead and then let those pass rushers eat off the edge. Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis back in the day. I mean, that's what we're looking at here. Now, those teams also, they struggled in the playoffs. Now, it was a completely different era, right? But they struggled in the playoffs, had a lot of one-and-dones and all that fun stuff, until the only time that they won the Super Bowl was 2006, and Peyton actually was terrible during that whole run, but the defense stepped up because of Bob Sanders. So if Bob Sanders shows up for the Chiefs' defense, or...
The defense really was terrible,
is
too,
that
in 06.
Eric Berry? Like, if you just pulled Eric Berry out... then boom.
Yeah.
He's their Bob Sanders, and the defense is good, and they go on their run.
That could be. That's actually very interesting. Is he slated to even be back? Or?
I don't know. We should research these things. No, the thing with Mahomes, though,
Thursday.
Again, he ends up with a
Thursday.
So he's back. So he's their Bob Sanders.
That is actually, I love.
Down the stretch here.
You're onto something here.
Or is it Booger? Because Booger was great down the stretch, too, at nose tackle for the Colts. All right, that was 12 years ago, Mike. 2006. That run feels like yesterday.
It really was, though, incredible if you go back and watch how bad that Colts defense was that whole year.
So it was like week 14 or 15. They gave up 400 yards to Jacksonville on the ground.
Yeah,
demoralized on the ground to Jacksonville, and they won the Super Bowl that year. Which is why, doing weekly takes and all that stuff. Imagine that back in the day. There's no way the Colts could win the Super Bowl after giving up 400 yards. No. But the Chiefs, man. It's like they're always one play away with Tyreek Hill. They're always one play away with Mahomes and what he could do outside the pocket. I mean, that's look at the pressure numbers we charged. We charged him with 8 pressures, Patrick Mahomes himself, because of his running around and all that stuff yesterday. But again, it's just he makes more positives than negatives, and they're going to score a ton of points.
I'll just say this. I do think I would love their chances a lot more in the playoffs with Kareem Hunt. As much as running backs don't matter, he was good enough that in terms of what he could do in the pass game and run game, just keeping him on schedule, he was a substantial upgrade over Spencer Ware. Now, Spencer Ware is not a bad back by any means, but Kareem Hunt, I think, was special enough that if you get into a bad weather game in the playoffs, which, Arrowhead's outside, Gillette is going to be outside. If you're playing one of those venues, that I would have liked to have had him.
Look, I think you're right. I was on Mike Tirico's podcast a couple weeks ago, and he was asking about that, right? How much will Kareem Hunt or a running back really matter in the playoffs? And again, running backs, they still matter. Everything matters, right? It's just about how much do they matter. I look at balance in the NFL like this, though. The ability to pass short, intermediate, and deep, and run the ball. At those 4 things, if you're good at all those 4 things, and I think the best teams, when you take away one of them, they can adjust and do something else. So running the ball is still a part of that. And Kareem Hunt did a really good job of at least maximizing what the run game was in Kansas City.
Well, I heard of my favorite way to describe balance is you want to be able to you want to be able to attack every zone of the field, whether that be wide, down the field, intermediate, wide. So if 50% of your plays are into the line of scrimmage between the numbers, if that's the zone you're attacking, which is aka the run game, that's not balanced because you're oversampling one zone in the field. If 25% of your plays are deep, 25% are intermediate, 25% are wide, that's more balanced. So I do think they're going to maybe struggle in the playoffs with Spencer Ware in that line of scrimmage between the numbers, though.
So luckily for Kansas City, though, they're now 11-2 because of some of the craziness yesterday, namely in Miami with the New England Patriots.
You want to talk about that, Steve?
The Kansas City
therapy session about that?
I don't need it.
Okay.
The Kansas City Chiefs sitting pretty as far as the number 1 seed goes. Now, of course, this Thursday they're going to play the Chargers. It's a huge game. If they win that game, it's is it all but locked up? Pretty much. It's pretty much all but locked up.
Yeah.
The number 1 seed all through the playoffs. We know we've been talking about home field quite a bit on the show already. How important it is playing on the road. I mean, it really does change. It just changes the dynamic so much, home and away. So the Chiefs are sitting pretty.